Hi beautiful! Take a look at what just arrived in the mail. My Pat McGrath holiday collection is here and I cannot wait to open all of these for you, swatch everything, and just show you the entire collection. As you can see, I went for the bundle that had all of the eyeshadow palettes. So I have both of the big cheeks and eyes palette that she came out with. This one here is called Starstruck Splendor, and this one here is called Jeweled Temptation. And I also have all four of the eyeshadow Quints. This one is called Bordeaux Bliss, Sunset Romance, Lunar Nightshade, and Bronze Ecstasy. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of eyeshadows in front of me for you, and you guys know I love to show you not just the palettes and the swatches, but also eyeshadow looks with everything. So here's how I think I'm going to divide this collection, because there's a lot to unpack here. By the way, I ended up skipping on the cheek palettes, the ones that had bronzer, blush, and highlighter, and I did not get any of her new colored mascaras either. Because I just didn't feel the need for any of that. I'm an eyeshadow person, so this was definitely where I wanted my money to go right here. So here's how I'm going to kind of unpack this collection for you. I think today I'm going to show you everything I got. We are going to do swatches of everything, and I'm going to do two eyeshadow looks. I'm going to do an eyeshadow look with each one of the big palettes, and then I'm going to do dedicated videos to the big palettes as well, where I create a couple more looks with each one. So I'll do, for example, a video just talking about Jeweled Temptation, where I'll do two looks with this one. Same thing when it comes to this one, separate video, two looks, so that you have 3 looks total from each of the bigger palettes from me. One from this video, 2 from the dedicated videos. And then I think I'll separate the Quints into 2 videos. I'll do a video with 2 of them and a video with the other 2 of them. And I feel like that way we have a bit more of a deep dive into everything that Pat McGrath launched with this collection. Today, I'm focusing on thoughts and opinion on the palette now that I have it here with me to see it in person, and I'm focusing on just showing you everything. Also, I was thinking, if you guys want swatch comparisons, which I think you will, maybe we can do a live video doing swatch comparisons of the palettes to whatever you tell me to grab, basically. So leave me a comment down below if you want the live with the swatch comparisons, and let me know what you would want me to compare these palettes to. So for example, I can do the live tomorrow, which is Sunday and everyone's home, maybe around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or even better, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I feel like that would be a good time. So I can do a live tomorrow, which is Sunday, at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can tell me what to pull, and we can do swatch comparisons of this collection to whatever you want me to swatch it next to. And I feel like that would be a fun live, because I can interact with you guys and see what you want me to compare these to and all of that. And then in addition to the live and this review video, we'll do all of the dedicated videos to the different parts of this collection, because like I said, it's a lot and I want you to get all of the information that you can from me. So let me know how all of that sounds down in the comment section below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it, by the way. And if you are going to shop this collection, please do so using the links I'm leaving you down below in the description box. When you shop from my links, you help out my channel. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's just grab the first one. This right here is the Starstruck Splendor palette. I actually don't hate the packaging. It is very similar to what she usually comes up with for the holiday season. Like, the materials are very similar. It's like this hard cardboard component. So here's what the palette actually looks like. As you can see, it has little cutouts here at the end. I feel like it looks Bridgerton-esque, and I'm not sure how I feel about the light pink for the holiday season, but it's Pat's choice, right? And she's done it before. There's another one of her holiday palettes that was a light pink color as well. Anyways, let's go ahead and open this one. Let me show you what this one looks like right here. So as I said, this one is the Starstruck Splendor palette, and it comes with 2 blush shades and 9 eyeshadow shades. This one I'm very excited about because of the pop of green. So the 2 shades, The first one up here is Nymphette, which is an existing shade in her collection. And the one at the bottom is Coral Cosmos, which I believe is a new shade. And then we have the 9 eyeshadows, which are all new as far as I'm concerned. So let's go ahead and swatch this. Here are the first 4 shades. So the first color is called Opalescent Moonstone, which is a beautiful duochrome shimmer. Then we have the shade Dawn Divinity, which is this really cute cool-toned purpley type shade. I love it. Eternal Bronze, which is your standard Pat McGrath bronze shade. And then the first shade in row number 2 is Forever Nude, which is a beautiful transition color. Here are the next 4 shades, starting with Fawn Fantasia, which is your standard Pat McGrath gold. It's like a bronzy gold. Serene Sienna, which is a neutral to warm mid-tone brown. The shade Celestial Celadon, I believe that's what that says, which is the lightest of the 2 greens, the more pastel green shade. And Emerald Eclipse right here, which is like a darker brown shade with a reddish undertone. I expected the mattes to swatch better. They're not swatching super impressively, to be honest. We're only missing one color, and it's this beautiful duochrome dark green right here. And this one is called Emerald Eclipse. So take a look right there at the eyeshadow swatches of the Starstruck Splendor palette. Very beautiful. The mattes don't feel like that rich Pat McGrath matte that I think we're used to. These feel maybe a little easier to work with because they feel more buildable, but they don't have that full pigmentation right away. And I think I just realized why it doesn't feel like regular Pat McGrath. This palette is made in the USA and assembled in the Dominican Republic. It's not a palette made in Italy from Pat. I gotta say, that's a bit of a disappointment. I feel like Pat just has a fantastic Italian formula. Whatever factory Pat McGrath works with in Italy is like 10 out of 10. They make the best formulations with the highest pigmentations, and I could immediately tell the difference. The shimmers are okay. The shimmers are not bad at all, but the mattes just didn't feel as rich and pigmented as Pat McGrath mattes usually feel, to be completely honest with you. So like I said, we now know why. Made in the USA, assembled in the Dominican Republic. This is also new from Pat. I don't think she's ever done this before. She's had made in the USA formulas before, but it never said assembled in the Dominican Republic. So they must be using a new factory for this collection. We'll see how it performs once it is on the eyes. But I just could feel that the matte formulas were not what I'm used to from Pat McGrath. Anyways, let's go ahead and swatch the blushes. I'm just gonna swatch them back here. The first one is Nymphette, which is one of my favorite blush singles from Pat, and then the second one is Coral Cosmos, which is a newer shade for me. Okay, here's Coral Cosmos. I feel like from far away the blushes look a little better. It's a little bit of a brighter, peachier type of shade compared to Nymphette, and it also seems to be a little bit less pigmented than Nymphette because I had to build this one up versus this is just like a one swipe wonder. So here is this palette fully swatched now, blushes and all. I'm looking a little bit more carefully now at the back of the palette because I had noticed that there were different expirations for different formulas within the palette. So let me rephrase what I said earlier. The blushes are actually made in Italy and they have an 18-month shelf life. The eyeshadows are made in the USA from imported ingredients, which this is something she's done in the past, and they have a 12-month shelf life. But the entire palette, like they sent the blushes from Italy to the Dominican Republic, the eyeshadows they sent from the United States to the Dominican Republic, and the palette was assembled in the Dominican Republic. That's what happened. Now I'm telling you things the way they are said back here. My point was though, the eyeshadows just didn't feel as grand as Pat's shadows usually feel when they're made in Italy. Anyways, let's move on. This one says the exact same thing on the back. And this right here is the Jeweled Temptations palette. The packaging is pretty similar to the first one we tried, and then once you open this one has a slightly darker color story with more intense mattes and more intense shimmer shades as well. It also has two blush colors. There's a light blush and a pretty dark one in there. A very beautiful color story. When I first saw the palettes being announced, this was the palette that I was most excited about because the other one has the greens, which are great, but you guys know I love me some burgundy tones and some purples, and so these two shades right here were really speaking to me when I saw it. Anyways, let's go ahead and swatch this entire thing. Here are the first four shades. The first one is a beautiful duochrome light gold slash pink shade, just stunning. This is going to be a perfect inner corner color. Then we have Amber Aura, which is a warm mid-tone brown color, and the shade Star Garnet, which is this stunning dark pink. First color of row number 2, Daring Desire, which is a very pigmented, and in this case this one is pretty pigmented, very pigmented dark brown. Here are the next four shades. I'm very excited about that burgundy. So this gold is right in the center of the palette, and this one is called Midas Mystique. It is stunning and it swatched beautifully. Then our burgundy shade is called Midnight Cherry. Take a look right there. First color of the third row is called Smoldering Bronze, and it's a really pretty dark bronze shade. And we have Blooming Sienna next, which is a mid to dark toned brown. This one not as pigmented as that one. Let me build it up a bit. And then the last shade in this palette is this beautiful duochrome dark purple shade, and this one is called Amethyst Noir, which I have been very excited to try. So take a look right there at what this palette looks like swatched, eyeshadows only. I am really loving the shades that I thought I was going to like. I'm really loving the burgundy, the purple. I actually really like this super intense dark brown as well. And this color right here, this very light shimmer duochrome, is beautiful. So take a look right there. And let's go for the blushes. The lightest of the two blushes, which is a beautiful light peachy shade, is called Desert Amber, which I believe out of the two this is the new shade, and then Paradise Venus is an already existing darker tone from Pat McGrath blushes. So take a look right there at what the entire palette looks like swatched, blushes and all. These two bigger palettes that we just swatched retail for $76 each, and they also have them as part of bundles like the bundle that I got, or you can get them just the two bigger palettes. Definitely check out the link in the description box so that you can see all of the different bundling offers that she has. Let's move on to the eyeshadow Quints, which I was peeking, and I believe that these might all be made in Italy, which I'm very, very excited about, but let me just make sure. Yes, the Quints are made in Italy and they have a 12-month shelf life. So let's go ahead and start with the one on my hand. This one here is called Bronze Ecstasy, and if you've ever had a Pat McGrath Quint before, it's the same type of packaging. This one is beautiful and one of the ones I wanted to try most because it has the natural cool toned shades to it with the burgundy and the cool tone transition color and the just beautiful basic pops of color. These formulas seem very, very pretty. They look like they're going to be very creamy and very pigmented. So I'm excited about that. Let's swatch it. Oh yeah, these are very creamy. The mattes almost feel like a cream to powder formula. I'm excited about these. So here are the first four shades of Bronze Ecstasy. We have the shade Starlit Champagne. We have Merlot Mystique, which is a stunning, not quite matte, not that I'm looking at it. It's like a satin finish burgundy color. Then we have Honey Nectar, which is this stunning glittery gold shade, and the shade Twilight Taupe, which does look more matte. Hold on, let me distribute. This is a tricky part of the arm. There we go. Take a look right there. And then we have the last shade, which is called Enchanted Bronze. and it's a black base gold type color. So take a look right here at the stunning swatches from the Bronze Ecstasy eyeshadow quint. I can already tell you I am going to love this one because I love every single color, even that satin burgundy shade, which was definitely not what I expected. I expected it to be matte, but I think it looks beautiful, and I think it's going to work amazingly on the outer corners of the eye. And I also think that this brown shade can be blended out into like a very nice cool toned transition. As I said, I'm very, very excited about this Quints. We are doing Lunar Nightshade next, which is another one that I was pretty pumped to try because I love me some teal colors. This right here definitely brought me into this palette. So let's go ahead and swatch this one. So here are the first 4 shades from this stunning Quint. We have Platinum, wow, Platinum Moonlight, which is very reflective. Midnight Iris, which is a satin color, similar to the one we saw in the first palette. Pale Amethyst, which is a stunning glitter shade with like the tiniest bit of a hint of purple, but I love it. And then I'm going to skip this part of my arm and swatch Noir Nebula down here. So take a look right there at what that looks like. Beautiful. And then the last color from this Quint, which is called Neptunian Orchid, and it looks stunning. Yep, I love it. Just like I thought. I love this shade. So take a look right here at the 5 swatches from the Lunar Nightshade Quint. Stunning. I love it. I actually wasn't expecting to like this pale amethyst shade as much as I do. 2 Quints to go, and this one here is called Bordeaux Bliss, and it is the one we are going to swatch next. This one is a pretty romantic color story, all pinky tones. I didn't think that there was a matte in this one, which there isn't because this color does have some sparkles thrown in there, but this could be used on the crease of the eye, I'm pretty sure. So let's go ahead and swatch it. Here are the first 4 shades. These look incredible. So we have Platinum Rose Water, which is this really beautiful shiny baby pink shade. Ruby Noir, which is a black with some pink sparkles thrown in there. Naked Sunset, which is a beautiful cool toned rose. And then the shade Mauve Mystique, which is the one that kind of looks matte-ish. Let me just build it up a bit right here. Here's the last shade from this eyeshadow Quint, and this one is called Cosmic Garnet, and it's a pretty intense dark pink shimmer shade. So take a look right here at the Bordeaux Bliss eyeshadow Quint from Pat McGrath swatched. Take a look right here at the last Quint we need to swatch, which is the Sunset Romance Quint. And this one has 2 matte looking shades, so I'm excited about that. Let's go for it. Here's the first 4 shades that we're going to swatch. We have the shade Glowing Desire, which is a light gold shimmer. The shade Suede Sienna, which is a stunning satiny looking matte. Then the color Pink Mirage, which is a beautiful bronzy gold. And the shade Sunkissed Rose, which is a stunning matte muted rose type color. I actually really like that shade. I'm intensifying it a bit. And then this right here is a very intense last shade. It's called Petalic Passion, and it looks like a stunning dark rose. And it is a stunning dark rose. So check it out. This right here is the last Quint we had left to swatch. I am very happy that this one has at least a couple of mattes. I feel like she should have included at least 1 matte looking shade in each one of the Quints, but that is just me, in my personal opinion. So anyways, take one last look. Here are the 5 swatches from the Sunset Romance eyeshadow Quints. This one is a pretty basic color story that I think we've probably seen a lot, but it is a lovely color story nonetheless. Whew, so now that we've swatched every single eyeshadow palette that Pat McGrath came out with for the holidays, let's create a couple of eyeshadow looks with the big ones. Like I said, I wanted to do the big ones in today's video, 1 eyeshadow look in each eye, so that when I do dedicated videos with them, I can give you 2 more looks and we can do 3 total. So let's go for it. I'm going to start with this one here, and I guess I'll also try the blushes, although I don't know how I'm going to try all 4 of them. Anyways, this one here is the one called Starstruck Splendor, which is the lighter of the 2 color stories. And whatever look I do today, I'm going to use this green right here because I think it is lovely. First things first, I'm going to use the shade Forever Nude with a big blending brush, and I'm going to use that shade as my transition color. It's pretty pigmented, as you can see, and with the formula not swatching like it usually swatches for me, I was scared that like once we put it on the eyes I had to build it up a lot, which is not the end of the world. It's just not what I'm used to from Pat McGrath, you know? So anyways, this one I have no complaints about. It actually built up immediately on the crease of the eye, and it blended out immediately as well. I'm going to build things up a little bit. I'm going to use this color here, the one called Serene Sienna, and I'm using the same brush, just patting it on the outer third of my eyelid, and then I'm going to just blend it into my crease ever so slightly, just back and forth up here. Beautiful. With a smaller blending brush, I'm going into Mystique Majestic, and I'm further building up my outer corner color because I want a little bit more intensity back here. See, I feel like I would have expected this shade to be a bit darker. Look at it on the outer corner of my eye versus on the pan. Celestial Celadon right here on a reference number 2, and this is going to be the color right in the center of my eyelid. Just packing it in place with my flat brush right here. Back with the blending brush, just making sure things blend smoothly into one another back here. And then on the inner third of the eyelid / inner corner, I'm going to get this color, Opalescent Moonstone, which is a stunning duochrome, and I'm going to place it there. Check out my look so far. I'm grabbing the darkest of the mattes that I chose and just swiping it back and forth right under here. And then the first color, the one I used as my transition shade, with the reference number 13, I am blending it right under the eye. To bring out the mint a little more, I'm going to get this Glossier eyeliner. This one is called Patina, and this is going to be my waterline color. I just added some mascara to my lower lashes and retouched my top lashes because I did already have a bit of mascara on. And this right here is the finished look with just mascara on. Very beautiful, very natural crease, and I love the pop of green in the center of the eyelid. The first matte, the one I used as my transition shade, it performed beautifully. It was pigmented, it was blendable, it was delicious. But then the darker ones, I expected a bit more from in this case. There are darker mattes on this palette here. This one is the one called Jeweled Temptation, and this one we're going to put over on this side. To begin look number 2, I'm grabbing the shade Amber Aura with a big fluffy brush, and this one I'm going to use as my transition shade over on this side. I tried not to grab too much of this shade because I felt like it might be a bit too dark of a transition for my skin tone, so I added a bit on the lower side of my crease, and then I'm just extending up so that I blend it out nicely. And this is a Sigma E28 brush. So that's the transition color right there. It blended out beautifully, and I do really like it. I also was thinking maybe it was a bit too warm for me, but it looks good. So I'm going to intensify it a bit with this shade down here. This one is called Blooming Sienna, and I'm going to add it on the outer third of the eyelid, blend it up to the crease, back and forth just like this. And I'm switching to a smaller brush to grab the burgundy shade because I have to. This one's called Midnight Cherry, and I'm adding it right here on the outer third of the outer corner. I am blending it back and forth on my crease. For the center of the eyelid, there is no shade I want to use more than this one, so I'm going for it. This one's called Amethyst Noir, and I'm just going to tap it with a flat brush right in the center of my eyelid. It is so sparkly, I like it. Just packing it on, and I'm making sure it blends into my mattes back here. For my inner corner, I'm grabbing the shade Coral Nectar. A little concerned that it's going to be too drastic of a change, but I think this one has some pink in it as well. Yeah, it actually looks pink on my eye rather than yellow, so we're good. I'm just going to blend it with the Amethyst shade and use it on the inner corner. Under the eye, I'm going to smoke things out with my Burgundy Matte color, just back and forth right down here. And I'm using my transition shade that we used on the crease to smoke things out down here. For this one, I'm going to use my Pillow Talk eyeliner in my waterline, which is like a burgundy liner, to finish up the look. And after fixing up my mascara a bit, this right here is my eyeshadow look with the Jewel Temptations eyeshadow palette. I decided what to do in regards to the blushes. I have this blush up here. I've used it a million times. You guys have seen it. If you haven't, you can check out the blush review video. So I'm going to use the new blush shades, which for me in this palette, Coral Cosmos is the new shade, and I'm going to grab it with my F44. As you can see, it's like a nice coral shade, and I'm going to put it on the side of the palette. Just adding it to my cheek and blending it up towards my temple. I think my blush might have touched one of the gold eyeshadows in the palette because it's putting shimmers that the blush does not have on my cheek. But there's no shimmer in the color, and it looks like this beautiful peach shade. I'm adding some to my temples too, just like that. And then from this palette, I'm lucky because the dark shade is the already existing one. I do not own that one, but it's not a shade made for my complexion. So I get to use this one up here, which is called Desert Amber. This is what it looks like on the other side of the blush. And I'm going to pack it on this cheek. Looks pretty toasty, doesn't it? Like a bronzy peach blush. I like it. And this one does have the glow in it. The glow you're looking at is in the blush. I'm back. I retouched my bronzer. I added some lashes. I put on a lipstick. Everything is of course linked down below in the description box, and I want to give you my final thoughts on everything that I tried and swatched and played with today. By the way, I think I forgot to say it when I was swatching them. I meant to. The Quints retail for $36 each, and there's also bundles available that are discounted. The first thing I wanted to say in regards to this collection is I personally always look forward to the big holiday palette from Pat McGrath. She's done it in the past where she does one big eyeshadow palette with 18 shades, and then she'll give us either Quints or quads to accompany them on the side, and I have always loved that. So I'm not the happiest with the format that she chose for this year's holiday release, because I could have very easily skipped on the blushes that came in the palette. Don't get me wrong, I think they're lovely, but I'm an eyeshadow palette lover first and foremost, and so I feel like maybe she could have given us a 9-pan eyeshadow palette without the blushes at a more affordable price, and then put the blushes separately. In fact, she does have trios where the blushes are separate. So I don't know, I wasn't the happiest with the format with the two blushes for $76 when the 18-pan palettes from Pat we've gotten in the past have retailed for like $82 or something like that, you know? Like, I just see more value in those versus these. However, I do think that the quality of the shades in here is beautiful, and I did like the color stories of both palettes. Is it a bit repetitive for Pat? I feel like it is, especially this one. I love this purple shade. This is different for Pat. I don't think we have a purple like this one from her, but if you cover that, I feel like she's given us that color story before, right? And then I was also a bit disappointed at the fact that it's her American made formula that is in these palettes rather than the Italian one, because if you guys have tried both formulas from Pat McGrath, you know that there is a quality difference between them. I think that this formula is pretty great. However, the Italian formula is creamier and more pigmented and more blendable, and you can't convince me otherwise, okay? Because it's true. Out of the two palettes, I actually think that I like this one best. So if I were to suggest one to you, I would suggest the lightest one of the two, even though my eyes first laid on this one, because as I said, this is a pretty common Pat McGrath color story right here. She's given us these shades 10 times over, versus in this one, I like that there is some neutral cool tone shades. I like that there's two green shades. I like the duochrome light shimmer that I put in the inner corner of this eye. It's very, very pretty. So if I were to suggest one of these two for you, especially if you have a lighter complexion like me, I would suggest the lightest one of the two. Plus on this one I can use both blushes rather than one. So if you wanted me to suggest one, my pick is actually the one with the green shimmer shades and the beautiful duochrome and the stunning cool toned purpley matte down here. I love it. Out of these two, I love the Starstruck Splendor palette best. Now when it comes to the Quints, these are made in Italy. I still have to use them on the eyes to see how they perform on the eyes. However, the Quints don't necessarily have the same formula as her bigger Italian made palette, so there is some differences there as well. But I did overall like the Quints a lot. My favorite color stories, I gotta give this one right here a shout out because this I think was probably my favoritist one of them all. I know that's not a word, but out of the four, I think this is the color story that I liked best. And I know it's pretty basic, but I just really love the cool tones and the metallic shades in this one. I loved this satin cool toned burgundy right here. This one is called Bronze Ecstasy, and I gotta say that I think out of the four quads, this one might be my favorite one. But then the next favorite is definitely this one here, the one with the teal shades. I loved those teals. I like that this one has a matte shade. I love the pale amethyst shade right in the center. I was not expecting to like it, but I do, because I do see a bit of that purple that is in that one, and it has a beautiful matte shade as well, which I think is going to be a beautiful contrast with the shimmers that come in this one. We'll see once I play with it on my eyes. And so here are the remaining two, which are both beautiful. If I had to suggest one out of these two, I like this one because it has two mattes. I just wish she had put at least one matte in the Bordeaux Bliss palette. We needed a matte in this one for sure. So out of these two, maybe this one. But the reason that these are not my favorite is because I think that the other two have much more interesting color stories than these two. That is all I have for today's video. Like I said, I'm going to do two different videos with the Quints, one video with two of the Quints, one video with the other two Quints where I do a look with each one, and then I'm going to do videos with the bigger palettes as well where I do two more looks with each one so that you guys can see the range, I guess, that these palettes have. And let me know in the comment section if you want that video tomorrow at 3 o'clock potentially swatching these versus other Pat McGrath palettes in my collection. A swatch comparisons live video tomorrow at 3 p.m. Let me know if you're interested in the comment section, and if you are, I'll make it happen. If you guys liked today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up before you leave. If you're going for any of the palettes I suggested are my favorite, please shop for them using the links down below in the description box. And that is all for this video. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.